Okay, it's Uncle Roddus back again. Video time, vinyl video time. Okay, well, shit, it's nearly the end of the year. What is it? 10th of December, 2021. Third decade of the 21st century, and I'm still buying vinyl. Hey, well, I mean, I stopped for a while, didn't I? Okay, yeah, well, look, man, it's been a really great year for me for New Zealand vinyl, reasonably rare New Zealand vinyl. I picked up some great stuff. I've got half a dozen videos sitting on my computer going back to June. I haven't posted yet at this junction in time, with some of those rather rare records. The Flying Nun 40th anniversary exhibition, art exhibition that was on at the gallery, which I mentioned in previous videos, it really inspired me at the end of this year to get into my Flying Nun, and I got my collection together and I played through most of them. I didn't get to the end of it because I had so many records coming in that I've been cleaning and playing, so I'll revisit that obviously. But yeah, I must be up to about 130, 140 Flying Nun records. Their catalogue number is up to 601, a recent release. Not all of them were on vinyl. There were a lot of cassettes, a lot of CDs in the 90s that never got vinyl issues. I mean, well, most of the cassettes probably got vinyl issues back in the 80s. Maybe there were a few didn't. I'm not 100% sure. The Flying Nun discography on Discogs is a real mess. There's a lot of stuff on there that's not. It should be condensed, I think, into. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work that way on Discogs, but you know, when you're scrolling through the thing, you've got the CD, you've got the vinyl, you've got the cassette, and they're all as different releases, not as master releases like it would be under the actual artist's release. But I don't know, maybe that's just the way it works, but it can be a bit tricky trying to find your way through that lot. Yeah, I think the Discogs listing is over 1,200, but really there's actually only about 600 releases, I think. Anyway, so I got some more Flying Nun that I just purchased off TradeMe. Again, the seller from Wanaka, the one that I've sort of semi-bitched about over some other videos about him buying up all these records, and as I said, he's selling a lot of them. Not a lot of people are buying them, so I'm able to get them for minimum bids. I'm still paying probably more than I should be, or a little bit more than I like to, but I'm not, you know, some of his records were pretty extreme prices, but they've kind of dropped because no one was buying, and so he's probably losing out because he paid a lot of money for some of these, a lot of these records. I don't know why he's selling them, whether they're just double ups in his collection, I really don't know, but anyway, I've done pretty well out of him. I've bought quite a lot of records off him. As I say, I bid minimum. If anyone's going to bid higher than the minimum bid, then I'm not going to bid because the prices are already slightly inflated. So a few of them I'm picking up for Discogs prices, thereabouts. So, okay, what's arrived today from this man is 6 LPs and EPs, and I'll start with this one. I probably paid more than I should have for this one. Step Chant Unit, Painting Pictures. This is a 12-inch single. Basically, it's got one track on side 1, another track on side 2, and then another alternative mix of the original track on side 1. I knew nothing about this. It's from 1983, 84 on J-Rem Records. I thought that was coming a bit more alternative. I mean, with a name like Step Chant Unit, that is not really a commercial sort of sounding name, really. And it's got a pretty, I mean, I quite like the cover. It's quite oblique, abstract. Unfortunately, the music is really, it's just 80s electro pop. yeah, it's probably why they only ever put out the one record. It's not particularly good. So I mean, it might grow on me. It's, you know, I don't know. I was a bit disappointed with that. I thought, like I say, I didn't know much about it. I have seen it in Penny Lane, to be honest. I don't know what price they had on it. I didn't pay a lot of money for it, but yeah. I mean, it's probably pretty. It is. I think it is pretty rare, but not many people are interested. A little bit more. And again, I've seen this one on Penny Lane a few times and never got around to picking it up. And I was familiar with it from back in the 80s when it came out. Radio We Are Not Kidding. Radio We Are Not Kidding, which is what the wank stands for. We Are Not Kidding. EFC is the name of the band. From 1980 something or other. Now I remember this from back in the day, and although playing it tonight, I don't remember the song. Side one, again, it's 12-inch single. Side one is one track called "Drop Me Off," and I thought I remembered that song, and when I heard it, I didn't recall it as much as I thought I would. So, but I do remember it got a bit of play on the radio, student radio station back in the day. I may have even had a copy of this, but I remember seeing it around. I remember when it came out. Don't know what ECF stands for, not EFC. ECF stands for, but yeah, this is punky, posty punky, snotty sort of stuff. It's quite good. I don't mind it. It's not essential or anything like that. I didn't pay very much for this. I mean, again, it was in Penny Lane for ages and no one ever bought it. Sat there for a long time. I never got around to picking it up myself. And so I bought these off the seller. Kind of adds to the postage, you know, keeping the postage down by getting 6 records instead of 1 for $10 postage. You know how it is. It makes it a bit more thing. This is quite a bit more rare, and this is a bit more interesting. The Bygone Era. Now, I was familiar with the band's name. I don't know why, because I'm not at all familiar with any of the music. Now, they've put out this LP from 1989. This is their sole release as a sole LP. They put out a 7-inch single, split single with the Warners, who I have their LP from back in the late 80s, early 90s, and then they put out a 12-inch 3-track single, 12-inch single, yeah, which I don't think the tracks from that are on this, but I'm not 100% sure. I love the cover. That's a really cool cover. Yeah, so this album was, I think, it was released by Onslaught Records, which is interesting because Onslaught Records, I just discovered, was run by a guy whose name I was slightly familiar with from actually seeing him posting stuff on Facebook as recently. And I was actually having a quick chat with him online about a record that we were both bidding on Trade Me. He won that trade, but I actually got a second copy of it that came up for trade, which I showed in a recent video, and got it for $20 cheaper than what he paid for it anyway. But that was cool. Yeah, so this is a interesting kind of, it's a rock, heavy rock, punky rock. It's really straddling the line between heavy metal and punk, and it kind of crosses that line both ways at times. So yeah, it's a little bit harder to pin down. Not the greatest recording. I mean, it was probably pretty much done under their own steam. I don't know why I'd heard of them before, because I'm not familiar with their music, but so this is a reasonably collectible. I've never seen it before. Really cool. I like the cover. And then the Flying Nun stuff that came in today. So 3 LPs or 3 records for Flying Nun. What's playing in the background is the Abel Tasmans. This was their last LP that they put out in 1995. So it was their 4th record. I have a reissue of their first one that came out a couple of 3 years ago. On Flying Nun, I think. Yeah, it was a Flying Nun reissue. So their first LP, A Cup of Tea and a Lie Down, is pretty much a classic 80s rock, 80s Flying Nun, indie rock, indie pop. Then they put out another couple of LPs, one on vinyl called Hey Spinner, which I haven't got, and then one on CD, which has never had a vinyl issue, from 1992. I think, 93. And then finally in 95 they put this last one out. Two of the members, Paul Keane and a guy called Humphreys, I can't remember his first name, they put out a fantastic record together called The Overflow back in, I don't know, 2014 or 2011, somewhere last decade. That is a fantastic record. So yeah, they were in this band together originally, and yeah, I'm pretty impressed. It's a quality record. I'm liking it. Now, I haven't got a lot of this band's music. I picked up their first LP on a reissue a while back. That reissue's been floating around. It's fairly easy to get your hands on, but then, to be honest, the originals aren't that hard to find. They were one of the bigger Flying Nun bands, the Verlaines. This is their third record from 1990, Flying Nun 129. Actually, what was the Flying Nun catalogue on this one? Flying Nun 312. Oh, that was a big jump between 95 and 1990. Wow. Yeah, so this is, yeah, they certainly picked things up in the 90s. This is their third LP. I've never heard it. The Verlaines is someone I'm still going to get to grips with. Their original single they put out back in the early, mid-80s, Deaf and the Maiden, is an absolute fantastic New Zealand classic. And I'm familiar with a few other songs of theirs. Not sure, that printing is very, very small, so I'm not sure what's on this record, if there's anything that I will recognise, but I need to give them a bit of attention because their music it takes a bit to get to grips with. And then the last Flying Nun is it's an EP of sorts. It's called, what is it called? It's called The EP. Interesting. Flying Nun 027 from 1984. Phantom Fourth. Now, on the internet, on the Discogs, it's called EEEP. I'm not sure why, but it just says The EP on the back of this side of this. Yeah, The EP. So I wonder why they called it. Maybe I misread that wrong on the website. Okay, yes, it is a 45 RPM. I was trying to figure that out because on the Discogs it doesn't say, but it says 45 there. So it is, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3. So it's a 7-track EP. I had never heard of it, knew nothing about it, haven't played it yet. The Discogs ratings are pretty good. It's got this nice little insert. You don't actually... A lot of the early Flying Nun releases had inserts. Of course, you know, nowadays they're not all of them. You don't often get the inserts. They've been lost and destroyed many years ago. So I can't tell you too much about this, but the rating... The people that rated on... had a good rating on Discogs. I can't even remember the description of the music, but something alternative sort of things. You never know. I may have heard this back in the day. I may be familiar. I've had that happen a few times. Some EPs and some records being reissued that I had no idea up here and I couldn't remember them, and then as soon as I played them I thought, oh wow, yeah, I know that really well. Anyway, interestingly, what did I pay for this? I paid $50 for it. It's a Flying Nun, so you're paying premium second-hand prices for Flying Nun originals now. You know, there are a lot of people keen on collecting Flying Nun and stuff here in New Zealand, saying that obviously being in New Zealand, being a New Zealand label, this is probably the best place in the world to be collecting them. Surprisingly how many are around overseas, but yeah, the prices aren't bad, but the mail, if I was buying off Discogs from overseas, the postage to get them here is almost as much as the records. It's ridiculous. Anyway, finally, and this is also a Trade Me purchase, is I picked up a vinyl copy of this David Bowie's The Next Day LP from, 2013. I know I'm going to pick this up when the box set comes out in maybe a year or two, whenever they finally release it. I've actually got the latest box set on the way from, picked it up out of the States for a reasonable price, although it turned out someone else had it on special here even cheaper on Black Friday, on the day of release. I could have rushed into town and bought it, but anyway. So yeah, this is a double LP of David's second to last LP. So I bought this when it came out, in 2013. God, is it that long already? Is it really that long? 8 years ago. Unbelievable. So yeah, I don't know if I bought it straight away, but I bought it back a few years back there. So I played it a few times. Excuse me, getting past my bedtime. I played it a few times, and I was like, oh yeah, this isn't bad, but I stuck with it. I stuck with it, and I really got to like it. This is an excellent LP. Someone on Facebook said they didn't like it. I don't know. He's a big Bowie fan too. I don't know if he was just pulling my leg because he was in a funny mood that day. He was saying silly things, had a few drinks maybe. He was just pulling my leg, but really nice to have this on vinyl. Got it for a pretty cheap price for a double LP. You know, they had the same seller was selling a copy of Black Star on vinyl, which I was bidding on, and that got up to $71. And I know they do go for a little bit pricey. Some of them I know some particular pressings of that go for a lot of money, but anyway, he said these were brand new, only played once or twice. He bought them from Amazon. The biggest problem was this. That's the bullshit Amazon packaging. Well, you know what it's like. They don't unseal them, and then coming all the way from the States or UK or whichever Amazon he bought it from. So yeah, some nasty little seam splits there, but it actually is in absolute near mint condition. Apart from that, and the vinyl is pristine and it sounds fantastic. So yeah, I really rate this record. And for a while everyone rates Black Star as absolutely great LP, and it is. And it's another one that has taken me a while to get to appreciate it more. So for a while there, I've been liking this one more than Black Star, and I may still do, I don't know, because I haven't listened to them back to back, but yeah, really cool. Alright, I shall stop prattling on, and yeah, 2021 is almost over, but I probably will make another video before the end of the year. I've got my birthday coming up, I've got Christmas coming up, I've got a bunch of records on back order, including the Bowie set on the way. So yeah, there's plenty to come, so we'll see what makes it here before the new year. Okay, see you next time folks, cheers.